Were humans the first tenants in the solar system? Before humans? Was there ever an earlier solar system? Local, technological species later, for unknown reasons, caused them to disappear, extinct, or left the solar system. This is 2017, published in the International Journal of Astrobiology. Serious issues. The paper boldly believes that native technological species, in addition to possibly originating on early Earth, Venus and Mars, are also good choices. So let's look at Venus. Venus is known as Earth's twin planet. It's 95% the diameter of the Earth. Gravity is 90% that of the Earth. And it's the closest planet to Earth. But the surface temperature of Venus is as high as 460 degrees. The atmospheric pressure is 92 times that of the Earth. A person stands on the surface of Venus. Feel the pressure, equivalent to the oceans on Earth, diving below 900 meters. High temperature and high pressure, and sulfuric acid clouds tens of kilometers thick in the sky. Let Venus become one true hell planet. But his harsh environment, it hasn't always been that way. NASA Goddard Institute for Space Research uses Magellan, radar data, and a number of parameters such as careful running track, created 3D climate model display. Venus 2.90 billion years ago, although it receives more than 40% more sunlight than the Earth. But it wasn't too hot, because the sun was younger at that time. The luminosity is only about 85% of what it is now. Another thing about Venus is that it rotates very slowly. This causes his sunny side to always be covered by a layer, persistent high reflectivity post-cloud cover. This cloud is like a giant parasol. Reflects most of the sunlight directly back into space. The above two reasons lead to careful, maintain a habitable climate for over 2 billion years. How livable is it? The average calculated by climate temperatures range from 11 to 20 degrees. Except for the temperature, the atmospheric pressure of also Venus, very close to the present Earth. Low carbon dioxide concentration. Low concentration of carbon dioxide combined with water just vapor, enough to sustain the greenhouse effect. Keep the surface temperature in the comfort zone of 11 to 20 degrees. Venus also had an average. The depth is 310 meters. Global ocean. It covers about 60% of the surface. It's all part of the story. Venus 2.90 billion years ago, for life, it's a very friendly planet. The friendly time window lasted for a long time. Over 2 billion years. During such a long period of time, could it give birth to a technological species? From the experience of the Earth, and the answer seems to be yes. Because the Earth erupted from Cambrian life to the birth of Homo sapiens in just 530 million years. Some people might say, simple life forms on Earth. It goes all the way back over 3 billion years. The habitable time of Venus, just over 2 billion years. And that's certainly true. But we also have to take into account Earth. It has experienced 5 mass extinction events. Killed 70% to 96% of the creatures at the time. This means that the evolutionary Earth, that is, the meteorite at the end of the White Evil Trail, it wiped out the dinosaurs, freed up the ecological niche for the rise of mammals. This is equivalent to indirectly promoting the birth of the maker. And that's certainly true. But it's survivorship bias. Because one thing we can't deny is that, if this man hadn't risen, does the Earth have to be born? Can't another intelligent species be born? Same reason. If Venus started 2.90 billion years ago, it has been developing relatively smoothly, experienced less, for the birth of intelligent species. The necessary mass extinction time, that's 2 billion years of evolution. What species will eventually be born? It seems to give people endless room for reverie. But unfortunately, Venus changed dramatically about 700 million years ago. Experienced a global geological shutdown. Unlike the Earth, Venus, there's no active plate movement to reclaim the Earth's crust. The carbon in the internal heat of the planet cannot be released. Finally, triggered a devastating global volcanic eruption. Thousands of volcanoes roar at the same time. Put the crust. Carbon dioxide has been sequestered for billions of years, instantly released into the atmosphere, triggering a terrifying runaway greenhouse effect. Dominoes. After carbon dioxide is increasing, and the atmosphere is getting thicker. Heat is trapped at the surface. Soaring surface temperatures have caused seawater is evaporated, and water vapor. It's a potent greenhouse gas in and of itself. This further pushes up global temperatures. This vicious cycle is irreversible. Venus eventually became what it is today, this lifeless look. So back to our hypothesis. If Venus is habitable for more than 2 billion years, it really spawned a technological species. Then we can now find, did he leave any traces? And the answer is very unlikely. Because the global volcanic eruption 700 million years ago, it's like repainting the surface of Venus, civilization. The cities and roads left behind, even if not destroyed, will also be completely buried in the ground. Take a step back. Even without global volcanic eruptions, after 700 million years, any trace left by civilization will also be destroyed by heat, completely erased from high pressure and strong corrosive environments. Unless what? Unless this civilization reaches even beyond human level. That might leave some traces on other planets. We'll talk about that at the end. Moving on to Mars. Well known. Now Mars looks like a field. Red desert. But 40 to 3 billion years ago, Mars was once a lake planet. NASA Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter. The aerial photos sent show that the southern hemisphere of Mars, it's an intricate network of valleys. These are traces of ancient rivers on Mars that were initialized. The rivers point in the same direction to the planet. Northern Trickle Basin. It matches the flow of rivers into the ocean. This proves that early Mars was anything but lifeless. It was an ancient water event. It has an active river network and a large number of lakes. North of the low-lying planet, most likely there is still an ocean. According to a 2015 publication in a scientific journal, paper on estimating the amount of water on Mars is equivalent to that covered in liquid water to a depth of 100 to 150 meters. This further explains Mars at that time. There's a very nice greenhouse effect. Helps lock in moisture from the surface. And the reason why Mars looks a little red. Because the surface contains a lot of iron oxide. Such a huge amount of oxides. It proves that he was not short of oxygen in the early stages. There's water and oxygen, and just the right amount of greenhouse. This can definitely be a hotbed for the carnival of life. And that lasted almost 1 billion years. 1 billion year window for the development of intelligent life. It looks a little shorter. The current mainstream view in the scientific community from the earliest life to similar. The intelligent life of Homo sapiens. It may take billions of years. Take Earth as an example. Life has been around for at least 3.50 billion years. But truly highly cognitive humans. Indeed, only in the last few 100,000 years. It's not just time that spans between. It has multiple extremely difficult evolutionary thresholds. For example, round nucleus cells like eukaryotic cell transitions, emergence of multicellular life, formation of the nervous system, and eventually the birth of intelligence and civilization. These steps are not restricted. More like a chain of low-probability events. This necessarily requires a lot of time to build up. But the biggest problem with this view is that we only have a sample of Earth. Under different environmental conditions on different planets, is it possible to dramatically accelerate the rate of biological purification? The environment is stable enough with more resources. Will the evolutionary path be smoother? It's still not clear. To know the birth of life, it was once considered a very unlikely event, because it's the process of creating something from nothing. But there was life on ancient Mars. This conjecture is now very close to being confirmed. Last September, NASA announced Airy Woking leopard print marks found in Coconut Rock crater. Leopard print is a small spot, rich in iron phosphate and iron sulfide. On Earth, such characteristics are usually associated with the activity of microorganisms, the most obvious signs of Martian life discovered. And just this month, the Odd rover is on another mission at Gale Crater. in the experiment, detected more than 20 organic molecules in one go. These molecules are the building blocks of life. This suggests that there was life on ancient Mars, provided new evidence. So it looks like this. As long as the environment is suitable, some small probability events originally thought, some bottleneck events, it's not as difficult as you think. So, the reason why Mars became the red desert it is today, it's because he has an Achilles heel. It's half the diameter of the Earth. It dissipates heat too quickly. Early cooling and solidification of the inner core, so the generator effect stops. The planet's magnetic field also disappears. Atmosphere without magnetic protection. Eventually, it is completely stripped away by the solar wind. The migration window for Mars has thus turned into today's red desert. Finish shooting Venus and Mars. Let's take a look at our blue origin Earth. We know that Homo sapiens only appeared 300,000 years ago, the earliest life on Earth. In fact, it can be traced back more than 3 billion years ago, if we take the known life on Earth. Write a 1,000-page residence. Then this person is on the last line of the last page, only appeared in the word. In the huge blank space of the first 999 pages, Earth's history is truly barren. Was there ever a civilization whose name was written on it? Just this page. It was torn off by a pair of invisible hands. Now that the Earth is known to harbor complex life, so if it's true, there exists a native technological species in the solar system. The most plausible guess of its origin is Earth. Archaeology and paleontology. So far, no such prehistoric species have been found, or evidence of technological product. This is the age when they may exist, and how long it lasts. This constitutes a severe restriction. Regarding this civilization, what time period is it most likely to exist? I am stranded. Remember the hypothesis that it was already detailed done introduction in that video. And just to recap that a little bit, let's talk about prehistoric civilizations. Ordinary people usually ask, why do we can't find any evidence of their existence? Here's why. The efficiency with which the Earth clears the surface, far beyond the imagination of ordinary. Any organic matter left by civilization will be degraded in weeks to months. Differentiate from other erosive effects in hundreds to thousands of years. Destroy most of the exposed rock and metalwork. Some of them are huge. Corporate structure, strong building. The pyramids, for example, may have lasted for tens of thousands of years. Longer ones leave technical traces. For example, mining can leave long-lasting traces on the surface, at the same time causing regional mineral depletion, and activity can lead to abnormal isometric ratios, etc. These technical traces, on timescales of hundreds of millions to billions of years, will be subducted by plate tectonic movements, go underground and erase. Even in areas not affected by plate subduction, it happens on geological timescales. Big change. Areas that are easy for humans to explore during today. The existence of prehistoric technological civilizations, it may not be accessible at all. The reverse is also true. Therefore, there are hardly any technical traces left. The best evidence that a species has ever existed, according to fossils. But such fossils are probably very rare. We now know a lot about dinosaurs, because they ruled the Earth for 160 million years. What is the concept of 160 million? Suppose humanity were to perish today. History is only 300,000 years. Civilization is less than 10,000 years old. It's nothing compared to 160 million. So if the technological civilization in that hypothesis, like Homo sapiens, once rose rapidly, and then it falls like a meteor, it's hard for us to find their painters. But the problem isn't fossils. Because even if you are lucky enough to find a few pieces storage fossil, we can't judge by that either. What is their level of intelligence? The crux of the problem lies in the technical fabrication. If the solar system, an advanced technological species, was born and has developed interstellar navigation capabilities, then they may have made a technology that survives to this day, manufacture or technical imprint, waiting for humans to discover. This kind of thing requires a relatively high storage location. An environment like the Earth is absolutely not acceptable. I think there are 3 ideal sites. The first is small celestial bodies. Technological civilizations will be on small establishment of mining facilities, mining for rare metals. And we are very, very close at this point. But here's the thing. We are hardly in the inner solar system today. Find small celestial bodies, because the solar system, the few stable ones on the inside, the fixed orbit is mostly occupied. Even objects in stable orbits. Collisions are inevitable in the long run. But if we look further, things could have been different. For example, the Kaibo Belt. The area is more than 15 billion kilometers in diameter. Where in diameter, objects larger than 100 kilometers can have tens of thousands of grams. The average distance between them is extremely long, sailing alone most of the time. So if technology is civilized, was once there on a small celestial body, establishment of mining facilities, in theory, it can last longer. Until it was finally discovered by humans. The second location is Mars. Unlike the Earth, the surface of Mars is extremely old. So it's possible that it actually is a very old technological artifact. However, there are dust and high winds on Mars. Erosion functions, so even if it exists, there is a high probability that it will also be buried under the surface. Especially large buildings. They will be buried in dust, so as to avoid erosion. And that's why these kinds of buildings are often difficult to image from space or shallow surveys by various rovers. Detection is directly discovered. But here's the thing. In February of last year, NASA released by the Mars Global Surveyor orbiting camera. A nearly perfect square structure was photographed. The square structure has a side length of about 3 kilometers. Let's talk about natural geological activity. And it does create some perfectly square structures. But these objects are usually not very large. And this thing on Mars, the side length reaches an amazing 3 kilometers. Nature, can you make a perfect square that big? Will this make the plaza built by technological civilization? Something like that. And there was a lot of speculation when it was published. The experts are divided into two factions. One school believes it is caused by volcanic activity, like these square pillars of the Earth. These pillars can also be found on Mars. The cons thought it was light and shadow. Or is the image real? As for whether he is a technological civilization traces or left behind, it remains to be explored by humans in the future. Then the last possibility, a place where technical artifacts are kept, the Moon. Compared to Mars, the lunar environment is even more unique. Make technological fabrication. No need to worrying about the erosion of wind and sand. But the Moon is not perfect either. Because of micrometeorites or larger celestial body impacts, the surface will be turned over on timescales of millions of years or more. Technological artifacts will be destroyed by erosion. The specific duration depends on the item, the size and strength of the body. If only they could be buried beneath the surface. May survive. 2015 Planet Search. Members of the Institute for Extraterrestrial Civilization combing Apollo. The old photo of the 15th Paracelsus C on the far side of the Moon by accident. Two strange black shadows were found in the crater. At first they all thought it was just a low-resolution photo, the illusion of light and shadow. But when they took LASA, Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, after comparing high-precision digital images, and everybody was excited. In the screen, what appeared were two huge walls rising from the ground. The big one is about 129 meters long, 30 meters high as 10 floors. After a detailed study of the branch, they produced a paper, and it was published in Space Exploration the following year. The paper points out that these two structures have obvious anomalous characteristics, may have artificial wonders. The first is his bizarre three-dimensional structure, 3D bed bond discovery through multi-angle images. This is more than just two isolated walls. They're more like straight channel structures. At the southwest end of the passage, it has an entrance-like structure. And on the other side of the aisle, it seems to lead directly to the undersurface of the Moon. The ground around these two high walls, it's not even. Instead, it shows obvious depression. It looks like it's being used by some kind of giant machine, excavated next. These two things completely broke our understanding of moon rock, physical cognition of stone. Both are located in a place full of many, on the surface of a small impact crater. So this suggests that the surface is not moon forming, but long-term exposure to meteorite bombardment, solar wind erosion, and circadian hot and cold cycles. If these were two ordinary moon rocks, it should have collapsed long ago under this kind of destruction. It will be surrounded by caving debris, but the edges of the wall structure on either side are abnormally upright, even with a clear 90-degree right angle. And finally, researchers tried to eliminate human vision, subjective bias. They used a method based on typing, algorithmic image filter. On Earth, this algorithm is specifically designed to analyze image complexity, like satellite imagery. He can accurately determine whether objects are natural, randomness, or artificial regularity. The result shows the two lunar structures, mathematical model with surrounding natural craters, radically different, looks out of place, consistent with typical artifact characteristics. The authors speculate, suppose this is really an artificial creation. What's exposed on the lunar surface may only be a small part. Most of the rest are still buried under the moon. In fact, as early as the 1960s, famous astronomer Carl Sagan, I made a bold assumption. Say if extraterrestrial civilization really rebelled against the solar system to avoid divergence on Earth, and native organisms interfere, the best way for them to build a surveillance base choice is the moon. Especially the far side of the moon, which always faces away from the Earth. But I want to emphasize this. The builders of such man-made objects not only originated outside the solar system, it is also entirely possible that it is the home of technological species. After all, the distance between celestial bodies in the nearest star system, at least 5 orders of magnitude closer, and we know that the material foundation required for the birth of life with environmental conditions was once common on Venus and Mars. Earth, complex life forms have been bred. In comparison, civilizations from outside the solar system have crossed interstellar space. The possibility of placing creation here may be far less. The native technological species of the solar system make sense. At least these two possibilities. Relative probability is inconclusive. So that's it for today. I am Lin Shi. See you next time.